There are lots of things that we can do to support our baby's cognitive development. A couple easy things that we could do all the way throughout our baby's infancy period is to have like general routines, not, they don't have to be really rigid routines, but sort of general routines in terms of how we do things and what we do. And of course, always talking and singing, reading to our babies. That's something that is important from birth onward to be doing so that babies learn more about how the world operates. And they learn more about the world when we read to them. In the first 2 or 3 months of life, there are a few things that we can do to support our baby's cognitive development. One is just giving our babies time to have the opportunity to explore, to look at their hands, to look at our hands, to look at our faces. Hold our babies close to us so that we can regulate their heart rate. And giving babies objects to explore, that might be like a rattle, but it could be something as simple as a wooden spoon. Talk to baby and sing to our babies often so they just get to use their sense of hearing a lot. And, in those first couple months of life, as we read to our babies, we want to, when possible, use books that have a lot of contrast and keep them close to the baby so they can focus on them. Within maybe 7 or 8 inches, maybe a little bit more. But, when we keep it nice and close, babies can see and focus better. And something else we can do is show objects to babies, like kind of moving them in front of the baby's head and letting the baby follow the object with their eyes until the object disappears. From 4 to 6 months or so, something that you could do is play games with your baby where you hide an object just part way, and then what your baby's going to be doing is try to figure out what happened to the rest of the object. They don't understand that it still exists under there. Let your baby know how much you love them all the way through their entire lives, I hope. And of course, engage your baby in this face-to-face talk with you leading the interaction sometimes and following your baby's cues at other times and maybe imitating whatever it is that they're saying, if they're cooing or if they're babbling. And provide opportunities for your baby to play with objects and to explore them by, mouthing them, banging them on the floor. Maybe give the baby more than one object at a time and let them try to figure out, oh, how am I going to hold both of these? How do I do this? And then every once in a while, provide your baby with new toys or objects, because, these new objects spark new thinking on the part of the baby. And you can provide your baby with objects or toys with different textures, like soft, hard, flexible. Give your baby objects that make noises when they're shaken and watch them try to figure out like the cause and effect of shaking their hand or kicking the object and making it make sounds. And provide your baby some space to try to get an object that's out of their reach. Keep singing and talking to your baby, of course, and reading. And when your baby signals to you that they'd like to continue an activity, keep the activity going to just help your baby develop a sense of control over their environment, like they have some power in their world. That helps the likelihood that they'll continue to try new things. And between 7 to 12 months of age or so, somewhere around 7 to 12 months, You might show an object to your baby and then hide it under a blanket or a cloth for your baby to find it. And they may not realize that it's there on the younger end of that 7 to 12 months, but they'll be getting it in the next couple months of life. And you might position your baby in ways so they can see what's happening around the room. If they're, you know, not really sitting up a lot or crawling, then just position them in a way so that they can see around the room. Once they start crawling, they'll take care of that on their own. But before then, having you give them a little bit of support can be helpful. And keep giving your baby objects and watch how they begin to figure out how to hold on a few objects at a time. Of course, continue to provide your baby with a variety of objects, and watch how your baby starts to use some of the objects to help reach other objects. And, give your baby objects that are used in everyday activities. Play peekaboo and other games like that help to increase your baby's memory skills. And continue engaging in some pretty regular routines, just so your baby can develop that predictability and understanding of what's going to happen in their world. But you always want to have flexibility to meet your baby's needs as well. Sometime between 13 to 18 months of age, your baby may start to use objects correctly more often just from watching you. For example, they might use a broom correctly. As you help your baby continue to learn more about the world, you can help by labeling objects, actions, how things work. Just tell your baby what's going on in the world. Also, sometime during these months of 13 to 18, or potentially from 19 to 24 months of age, you could start playing more pretend with your baby. And give your baby simple directions. Reinforce your baby when they complete what you've asked them to do. And continue to share books with your baby and point out the objects in the book. You'll notice that sometime between 9 and 12 months of age, and sometimes a little later, babies might start pointing to things. And somewhere between 25 to 30 months, you can continue to engage in pretend play with your baby. You might let your baby start trying to scribble on paper and answer your baby's questions, and just keep explaining how and why things work for your baby. They're so curious at this age. They learn that there's so much to know. And when we've been really responsive to their needs, they just want to learn more and more. And we can help support that by what we do with them.